Hi, I'm Em and this is Läser, which is Swedish for Em Reads. So first things first, I am trying out 2 new things with my appearance today. And I kind of really like what I did to my hair. I used to have this hairstyle last year, but I wanted to change it up, so I did it a while back, and now I tried my old do and I kind of really like it. And also I did black eyebrows. I'm not sure how that's gonna work, but I kind of like them. Anyway, this is not a beauty channel, so let's get into book talking. Today I'm going to be doing my May wrap-up and my June TBR. I'm usually not big on TBRs, but there are 2 books that I really want to read this month, so I'm going to be showing them off to you at the end of this video. As per usual, I'm going to be talking about the books in the ranking order. So the book that I rated the lowest is going to be first, and the book that I rated the highest is going to be last. I had a really good reading month this month. I read a grand total of 5 books this month, and I am really proud of myself for that because I had a bit of a struggle reading for several parts of the month, and you are going to be noticing that 4 out of 5 of these books are actually by the same author, and I'm gonna be getting into that in a moment. The first is actually the book that was not by that same author, and I gave that book 3.5 out of 5 stars, which is actually a shockingly low rating because I thought that I was going to love this book and then I didn't. That book is, unfortunately, If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo. So the instant that I heard about this book, I bought it. Basically, in this book we follow our main character Amanda, who just moved to a new town to start her senior year of high school, but what everyone that she meets doesn't know is that she is trans. I have only read one other book that is on the topic of trans people, and that book is George by Alex Gino, and that book was absolutely fantastic, and you really need to read it. It's a middle grade and it's really good, and I'm not supposed to talk about it right now, so I'm not going to talk about it. Anyway, I'm not really sure how to speak about this because the trans elements of this was so well done. First of all, the author is trans herself, which I think is great because we need a more diverse range of authors, so I think that it's really great that trans authors are coming out and publishing books. And the model for this cover is also trans, which is super duper cool. I'm not a trans person myself, I'm cis, so I can't speak for the trans community, but I feel like this book communicated the everyday life of a trans person in a good way, and it's definitely a story that I think a lot of people should read, especially those who don't know any trans people. I myself have a couple of friends who are trans, so I'm fortunate enough to be quite a little bit educated on the topic, but for those who aren't, I feel like this is something that you really should read. What I didn't like about this book was basically everything but how it handled the trans topic. Like, it wasn't really a good story. I found plot holes, not everywhere, but in some parts of it, and I just couldn't get into it. It's not a bad book, I just couldn't get into it, and it's really sad, but I still really recommend it, and it was the fact that it handles the trans topic so well that gave it such a high rating, or not really a high rating, higher than I would have given it if it was about cis people. Like I said, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I do recommend it, but I did not really like it. The next book I gave 4 out of 5 stars, and that is Revenge, Ice Cream, and Other Things Best Served Cold by Katie Finn. And this is the sequel to Broken Hearts, Fences, and Other Things to Men, also by Katie Finn, obviously. And since this was a sequel, it obviously had some big shoes to fill, and it didn't really fill those shoes until the end. I was a little bit disappointed with this book because I thought we were going to be getting more of stuff that I can't really go into because of spoilers, but it was a good book in the end, and I just want the last book, and I bought it last weekend, so I'm just waiting for that to arrive so I can see how this story ends. Anyway, if you didn't know, Katie Finn is actually the pseudonym of a very well-known contemporary author, and that author is Morgan Matson. And if you know me, you know that I freaking love Morgan Matson. And the month of May was actually the month for the hashtag Month of Matson read along. Basically, it's hosted by Maureen Keevy, who is one of my absolute favorites on BookTube. And basically, she reads all of the Morgan Matson books, and everyone else does too. And I joined in this year, and that's why I read this book this month. So I have 3 books left, all of them by Morgan Matson, and they are all 5-star ratings, but I'm going to be going in them in order from least favorite to favorite, and my least favorite is actually the one I read last, and that is Amy and Roger's Epic Detour. I don't actually have my book, it's just a dust jacket because I was reading it at my boyfriend's house and then I left it there because I think that he should read it too because it's just so good. This is Morgan Matson's debut novel and it follows Amy, who was in a car accident where her dad died and therefore she is unable to drive, but she has to get her car from California to Connecticut. So she gets help from this old friend of the family called Roger, and he drives her through the country of the United States of America, and it's basically their road trip and they take a bunch of detours and do adventurous stuff. And I just love it, especially since going to the United States, I could relate to this book so much more because I understood the different thingies, American thingies. I can't think of any right now, typically. But yeah, this book is really good. 5 out of 5 stars. You should all read it if you haven't already. This is my second favorite of Morgan Matson's books, and I reread this also this month, and that is Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson, obviously. So basically in this book we follow our main character Emily, who is really shy. But when she's with her best friend Sloane, she becomes more of an outgoing person. And they were planning to have this epic summer together where they just did a bunch of cool and fun things, but then Sloane disappears. A few days later, a list appears in the mail, a list of things that are kind of things that Emily wouldn't do on her own. And what Emily decides to do is that if she does these things, maybe she will be able to find her best friend. And she meets a bunch of people on the way and a very nice love interest whom I love. And it's just a good time. This was actually the first book by Morgan Matson that I ever read. I read it 2 years ago, and I actually bought this copy at a Morgan Matson signing. So it is signed and personalized to me, which is something that I love. And this book is just, it's so good. It's so good. I can't even anything anymore. So the last book that I have to show you today is my absolute favorite that I read in May. I think it might be my favorite book that I have read all year so far, and that is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson, obviously. This is Morgan Matson's latest book. It came out now in May, less than a month ago, and I got it, I think, the day after the release date, and I read it in just one day, and it was glorious, and it's just, it's the best. This book is about Andy, and Andy's father is a politician, and when he has a scandal, Andy can't go to her summer camp, not really camp, like her summer program, and then she has to figure out how to live without any plans, and she's a person who has everything planned out, so that's why that's a problem. I'm so bad at explaining books. If you want to know more about what this is about, you should check out the Goodreads because I'm so bad at explaining plots, oh my god. Anyway, the reason that I love this more than the other Morgan Matson books, I think, is because Andy was more of an interesting main character. She had some really big flaws, but she had some really big good character traits too, and the love interest was the best ever because he's a nerd and he likes all the stuff I likes, and he has Doctor Who t-shirts, which I do too, and I just could relate to him so much more than all the other love interests, and that's why and that's another thing that made it more interesting. And also the friendship elements of this book are so great, and I think this might be Morgan Matson's longest book to date, and that's also a really good thing. It means that the story didn't end abruptly because I hate it when it does that, or well, it kind of did, but you can see where it's going, which is something that I really liked about it, and it was just the best. And if you like Morgan Matson and haven't picked this up yet, you really should. It's getting a lot of hype, but guys, it's worth the hype. Or at least I think it's worth the hype. It has gotten some mixed, like, opinions. Not people haven't disliked it, but some people say it's their least favorite Morgan Matson book, and some people, me, say that it's their favorite. Also, if you haven't read anything by Morgan Matson before, I definitely think you should give this a go. However, I feel like you should be reading some of her other books first, because there are cameos here and references, which is awesome. That's something that Morgan Matson does that I absolutely adore. Also, if you like Fangirl by Raymore Rowell, I think you should check this out too, because it has similar elements with writing and stuff. So if you're interested in that, you should read this. Read this. pretty much gave it 10 out of 5 stars. It was just the best. So yeah, those were all of the things that I read now in May. So I have 2 books left to show ya, and the first one is the book that I am currently reading, and that is The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. So this is the book club pick of the month for my new book club. We just started a Swedish book club with some Swedish YA fans that are on Goodreads and stuff. So I am really excited to talk about YA with some people in Sweden, because people don't understand our struggles. Like, we live far away from everything that we love, especially me, who love American books, and their bookstores are just so much greater than ours and stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I actually really like this so far. I'm only like 30 pages in, but I have a really hard time reading high fantasy. I tried to read Six of Crows this month, and it just didn't work at all. But this book already has me intrigued, and I just started it today. And the second book that I really want to read this month, I got in the mail today, and that is The Trials of Apollo, Book 1, The Hidden Oracle by Rick Riordan. As you can see down there, all of my Rick Riordan books are down there, and I just love Rick Riordan. He is my absolute fave, and I'm so excited to get back into the Percy Jackson world, because it has been a while since I read The Blood of Olympus. And even though we do get to see one character from Percy Jackson in the first Magnus Chase book, it's just not really the same. So I am so excited to get back and see how everything develops after the end of The Heroes of Olympus. I'm basically going to be picking this up the second I'm finished with this. That's how things are gonna go, and then we'll see. I don't know, I kind of feel like reading more contemporary, but if I read more contemporary, I'm gonna get in the slump when I am out of contemporaries, and I don't want that to happen, so maybe I'll pick up something else. I'm looking at my shelf right now. I'm thinking about picking up The Haters by Jesse Andrews, and that is a contemporary, which I just said that I wouldn't read. Maybe I'll read These Broken Stars or Red Queen. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, that is going to be it for this video. This was a rambling mess, but that's how we do it here at Läser, so that's just how it's gonna be. Anyway, I hope that you are having a good day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!